Hello, everyone. It's time for more Sherlock. My lip sync isn't working. Give me just a second. Let's see if I have to, redo. Hello. Let me restart VC Face. Give me a moment. Hello. Okay, here we go. Everything's working again. That was weird. Hi everyone. Welcome to more Sherlock. Yesterday, I guess while we were playing, we ended up going to a brothel night party thing. And it got raided by the police, which is a bummer. Is the game audio any better now? Is this okay? Okay, cool. Just had to reset my capture card. So yeah, yesterday night we went to a eyes wide shut sex cult orgy, and essentially got raided by the police, and the police were like, we don't want to deal with this. Sherlock, you deal with it instead for us. And I don't really follow the logic on why, but hey, why not? So I guess from here we're gonna investigate the sex cult? Question mark? I'm not really sure. So I guess we just move forward on this? I'm not really sure, honestly. Have no real idea on where we're supposed to go or what we're supposed to do. So what do we have? Pinchetti is a major demo. No. Oh, was I outside? I think there was a conversation to have in the police office that I just completely skipped by quitting out of the game last time. It just spawned me here. Let's try to go talk to the guy who hired us. Oh, what was that?
Did you hear, Basil?
Over here are the circumstances of the incident at Capello's company. Let's see. So we know which ones they aren't now.
Did you hear?
Alright, it's Capello Company, save
you didn't get
something
what you
else.
were after. It happens. I always wanted a pet cat.
Alrighty. Nope. Nope. Claims innocence. Dead in the safe. Not under the mattress. Not wife is devastated. Armor Capello Company. My curiosity has been piqued by talk of Basilio Capello, the owner of the famous Armor Capello home security company, has been arrested. His situation is quite peculiar. A man named Niccolo Detti has been found dead inside a safe in Basilio's store. Basilio claims innocence, but the evidence is against him. He is being held in the holding cells at the police station.
In the police. Let's pretend to be cops, eh? We can just stand around and look confused.
I like these guys just hanging
Don't
here.
look at them. They'll serve us if necessary.
Alright, let's run back and talk to
Look,
the inspector.
I found Werner.
Oh, is that where he is? Is he in here? Can't interact with that. Who's that? Just some lady? Oh, there's Werner. Okay. Where was our cell? Here we go. Oh, okay. I, Santos Pinchetti, am a witness who reports a suspicion of murder at Manchios' mansion in Grand Surrey. During the preparations for the social party, I heard loud noises from the closed altar room. Immediately, I thought of the sacrifice of a living being overviewed by none other than Kurt Manchios. There was blood on the walls, strange symbols, and a dagger in the heart. As soon as I was able to think clearly, I rushed to the police station to report my findings. The station responded to the deposition by sending a patrol, while the witness left the station and went home. Alrighty. Following a report from a witness of the satanic ritual, who claimed to have found a body, the raid on the Manchios mansion was granted. It resulted in the arrest of multiple suspects and dispersal of the group in masks and robes caught in acts of gross indecency and unnatural behavior. The body of the victim was found lying on an altar with a knife wound in his chest. The officers identified the victim, Fabio 20, a local performer and artist. Arrested suspects V. Vogel. Werner Vogel had a letter of an insulting nature in his possession, which had been written by the victim. He claims to have found the body. He is infamous for his eccentric personality. Sherlock Holmes carried the murder weapon, a dagger with the victim's blood, and other items of evidence. He was invited by another suspect, Werner Vogel, presumably to obstruct the official investigation. K. Manchios, I think his name's Kurt. The owner of the mansion and organizer of the satanic party, paid the victim to participate in the ritual, had access to the crime scene. Matista, Fabio's partner and participant in the ritual, tried to escape, resisted arrest, owned a book with a description of the ritual performed in the altar room. Some of the guests are temporarily detained for further questioning. Keys.
Back on track to solve the case.
Oh, keys to the interrogation rooms. Are we going to be able to, like, cross-interrogate people? Provider of this ticket has permission to inspect all evidence on the... Oh, okay. We'll have to go to the evidence room and talk to the dude.
I can't go back to prison. I can't go back to prison.
Okay, John. Cool it. I'm going to change out of this outfit. Pinchetti is a suspect. Pinchetti is a suspect who should be arrested and questioned. He had a key, which he did not mention in his deposition. We brought tea, mental disease. Okay, oh, this is for the wrong one. I was like, what does this have to do with anything? Alright. I did want to change my wardrobe. Don't worry, Cop Lock is on the case. Alrighty, let's see.
Good day. Your ticket, please, if you want me to help you.
I'd like to check the evidence from this case.
And who are you?
Oswald sent me. I'm a consulting detective.
His partner, then? Let me see. Ah, a ritual murder. What a bunch of degenerates. Wait a second. I'll bring it to the table.
Alrighty. So we have a bunch of different stuff. Oh, there's the delicious drugs.
An emergency kit for boredom.
The letter that was found in Vogel's evidence box. Is your mind unsound? You can't control your bitterness, not around me anyway. For me, it's too great a risk to ignore that kind of behavior. I can speak and play with anyone, or I can speak and play with anyone I choose. I'm not another Matista. You pay me, but you haven't bought me. Of course, I'll keep all your generous donations, even though they hardly compensate for your last terrible outburst. I'm leaving you, although Matista will still be around. Fabio.
Not the time for privacy.
I don't think that was for Vogel, though. Vogel wasn't paying him.
Werner's personal sketchbook. Werner's personal sketchbook.
Okay, so there's nothing else to pick up there. So three things in each box.
It's a miracle this ruby hasn't tempted anyone.
It's a pretty big ruby.
A heavily perfumed handkerchief with the initials KM in the corner. All the keys of the mansion on one golden ring. A handcrafted charm that contains hair and nail clippings.
Witchcraft.
Her key to the altar room.
The power of love, blood, and
That's
mandrake.
not for bedtime reading.
I don't know. Seems pretty bedtime to me.
This ex libris belongs to Manchios Library.
The power of love, blood, and mandrake. The police found this occult book in Batista's bag during the arrest. According to the ex libris, the tome was taken from Mr. Manchios' collection. It contains illustrations and descriptions of a ritual similar to the crime scene. Prepare the naked body of a recently deceased object of interest. Draw symbols of Mars and Venus to enhance the power you possess. To use the force of male and female nature. Pierce his heart with a golden dagger to be rid of the blood that does not love you. Draw a symbol representing your love while waiting for the resurrection. Incite the charm.
The book describes a ritual similar to the one performed in the altar room. Thank you, officer.
I'm pretty sure Pinchetti did it, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be a crime of passion, and our choice is between incriminating someone who loved a man and didn't mean to kill him, or just like incriminating a random person who's kind of a jerk.
You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. I've nothing to say about this.
Have you considered Mr. Santos Pinchetti as a suspect?
The snitch? Have you seen him? I mean, my breath could knock him down. What's so special about him?
As a major domo, he has keys that open all the rooms, including the one to the crime scene. Could have testified only to circumvent suspicion, don't you think? We need to question him.
Right. I'll send our men to fetch him. Stay here.
Wonderful.
They brought him in, Mr. Holmes. Here's the key to interrogation room number 7. Mr. Pinchetti didn't even resist, our men said.
Thank you.
All right. Let's look at our mind palace real quick.
You can question Mr. Pinchetti in the interrogation room.
So we don't have anything else to immediately work on, so I guess we'll just go to the interrogation room. See what we can get from all of the different people that we've taken in. Let's talk to Vogel first.
Werner, are you all right?
Oh, yes. Everything's fine. In fact, it's something of a family reunion. My brother spent quite some time in this place himself.
You should not be here. I told the police everything I knew, but they refused to let you go. They require proof to free you.
Ha! What did you expect? The mighty Sherlock Holmes swans in, tells the officers what to think, and the world obeys?
Of course not. Anyway, I struck a deal with the constable, and I've got a free hand in the investigation. I find proof to solve the case for him. He obtains files about my mother's death for me.
Well done. If one has the power or will and can act, then one must. I wonder, suppose you couldn't get the proof to your truth. Would you tell a lie to the guard that enabled my freedom, knowing my innocence? Would that not be just?
There are lines I will not cross, Werner. I will do my best to secure your release, but with proof, not deception.
Really? How many white lies have you told on this island?
Many.
Why not for me? Why not another?
That is absurd. I can resolve this without compromises. Do not give up hope.
All right, let's ask about the letter.
So, the police found a letter from Fabio in your pocket.
I cannot tell if it was truly in my pocket at all. Perhaps it was placed there later.
Well, that is one hypothesis. If it were true, then how did it get there?
No clue. But this night has been rather eccentric. Such a detail could have easily eluded me.
Indeed. Do you recall reading it?
I can't remember that either. But I tend to respect privacy. Reading others' personal notes is not one of my perversities.
All right, let's see. Narik says, I have posted a topical meme in Scumlords. I will check that when Discord is not on the monitor that is currently looking at the game.
I'm not supposed to know anything about this.
You're not supposed to know anything about your own testimony?
I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I can't follow you here. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I can't follow you here. I can't follow you here. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this.
I don't think you can tell us anything
who told
about
the
that.
police about the crime. It was Santos Pinchetti,
Do I know him?
the major domo of the manor. He cleans up after you.
Well, then he does his job perfectly. All but invisible. I couldn't tell you the first thing about him.
Perfect. All right, so Pinchetti is allegedly in here. He's shaded, like, in the actual room. He looks like such a little Nosferatu. Look at him. Look at his, like, hunched posture. His bent legs. He definitely did it. Sherlock definitely profiles people.
Mr. Pinchetti, a pleasure to meet you. I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald.
I've already told him everything I know. I'm only a witness, sir. Everything's in my report.
And I've read it. You forgot to mention that you hold the keys to the room where Fabio was found. I need only to find if the crime was intentional.
But I need to return to my duties.
I doubt the house will fall without you, Mr. Pinchetti. Just be still for a few seconds.
Psoriasis or allergy? Huh. Repaired multiple times. He's either poor or has been in lots of fights. Dyed textile, colored more than once. What does that even imply? That it's been boiled repeatedly? That he has to wash it all the time? Stepped in blood. Terrible miser. Pinchetti is a head servant of the Manchios mansion. Despite him being employed at the highest position within the household, he appears to be poor. Despite having enough money, Mr. Pinchetti spends as little of it as possible. Cheap makeup hides imperfections on his body in an attempt to look more modern. Mr. Pinchetti has dyed his suit on several occasions to save even more money. The major domo appears to have personally repaired multiple holes in the suit. His body shows symptoms of psoriasis. He hides his damaged skin under layers of makeup. The major domo's suit had multiple holes that had to be patched or sewn. To renovate the suit's look, Mr. Pinchetti had dyed it. I think he's probably just poor. I'm not really sure. Right? Yeah, I think he just has financial difficulties.
You are the major domo of a rich mansion, and you seem barely able to afford decent clothing. You hide, under heavy makeup, a skin disease that might be treated with more onerous but less harmful means. Do you have money troubles?
Do not have a lot of means. The pay is below what you might expect.
You could easily change your job if your employer does not meet your elementary needs.
One can change his employer, that is true.
And the blood on your shoe, where does that come from?
I don't actually know. Perhaps from a guest?
Pink says, can you study him a bit more to see if he's a top or a bottom? Unfortunately, I don't think Sherlock is aware of what that would even mean. I think Sherlock lives in a fantasy land where babies are made by kissing each other 10 times, like in The Sims.
Did you know Fabio?
Not personally. He was a frequent guest, and cleaning the mess after his performances was tedious. Mr. Manchios always had a role for him, and mainly the leading one. The parties were always Fabio-centric.
And Batista? Was she as popular as her partner?
Don't tell her I said this, but I do not think so. Mr. Manchios hired her only because Fabio refused to work without her. Mr. Manchios used to see her as a worker. She was tasked with entertaining the guests, unlike Fabio, who could pick and choose.
All right. Is that all?
Please let me out.
Okay, that's all he'll share with us. Is anyone in interrogation cell 8? Nope. Who is this?
I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald. You are Matista, Fabio's friend.
This body, yes, it's Matista. But it's a mere shell that will die someday. Just like Fabio.
Huh.
Please accept my condolences for your friend.
Thank you.
I'm just here to ask questions and find Fabio's murderer.
It will not bring Fabio back.
Primitive occult tattoo. She inks herself. Okay. Cutting scars. Bitten nails. She's nervous. We have an emo lady. Shackle scars. Ooh, brutal. A brand. Oh, a slavery brand. Just like, what's his name had. Blood-filled bruises obtained recently. Matista, the performer and Fabio's partner, has had a difficult life. She was branded and enslaved while still a child. While enslaved, she met Fabio, hence her similar branding. Old scars are the result of her slavery during adolescence. She continues to be haunted by these traumatic experiences. She has a genuine interest in mysticism since she has tattooed her body with occult symbols. Matista tries to get over her past, and the life of a performer seems to be an opportunity for her to earn money. Pragmatic about her body after years of abuse, she sells herself to her guests, who do whatever they want to her. She's not afraid to step over the line. Also, Matista marks her body with ink. Yeah, no, she punishes herself for the past, for sure.
Fabio and yourself were slaves, am I correct? You have a similar branding on your body.
Yes. It was a long time ago.
Couldn't help but also notice fresh cuts upon your forearms.
The cuts helped me to forget my past, to cover the old wounds and hide them.
How did you escape?
Something happened. One night the master fell down the stairs. I made him fall, and he died. We ran away that day. We managed to get on a ship and traveled here, to Cordona. Fabio and I started a new life here. It was very hard at first, but it became better with time. Until today.
The bruises on your neck are not self-inflicted. Someone else made them.
Some guests can't contain themselves. They even bite, sometimes.
Kinky. All right, let's provide evidence, just see what she'll talk about.
I have nothing to say. I have nothing to add. I have nothing to add.
I like her voice.
I have nothing to say.
This is the letter the police found in Mr. Vogel's pocket. Fabio wrote it. Do you know anything about it?
I don't. Although I can feel Fabio's energy. It's there, but it refuses to let me analyze it.
All right.
This book, The Power of Love, Blood, and Mandrake, what do you hope to achieve?
To learn more about the invisible strengths that govern us. Occultism is real. The master who fell that night when Fabio and I escaped. I made him fall. I cast a spell on him and it worked.
Or was it a coincidence?
The universe is rarely so lazy.
If you say so. Do you practice occult rituals?
Is that all it let
For
me?
protection? For fortune? To wash away the ugliness of the world? Sometimes to survive. I have the gift, and I'm learning to use it better.
Did you use your gift on Fabio?
I only used white magic. Love charms lately. Fabio became so distant. I just wanted him to be with me, but I suppose I'm not as skilled as I thought.
Okay, I guess we just stumbled on the right clues immediately.
I know I could...
All right. Vogel's head because of a letter. Pinchetti missed the blood spatter. Santos Pinchetti failed to notice a bloodstain on the side of his shoe while cleaning himself after the murder. That's totally possible. Pinchetti missed a blood spatter. Pinchetti accidentally stepped in blood. Gonna go that way with that. Matista may have used a ritual on Fabio. Matista may have performed the ritual on Fabio to bring his love back. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. Fabio bruised Matista. During their fight in the smoking lounge, Fabio bruised Matista. What does this do? Okay, oh, so when they turn red, that just means they're conflicting. And that kind of gives me a hint at which ones need to be kind of linked. Fabio bruised Matista during their fight in the smoking lounge. Matista was bruised by the guests. Matista suffered bruises on her body from the brutal interactions with the guests during the party. I'm not sure. I mean, part of me assumes maybe she was like, I don't know, like the relationship went sour, or something happened, and in a moment of stress, she attacked him without realizing it, kind of dissociated.
Good day, Mr. Manchios. I am Constable Oswald's partner in this investigation.
Be quick and gentle. Some of your colleagues are untrained boors. Although I don't mind meeting young officers. The new blood here.
Ugh.
If you cooperate in finding Fabio's murderer, there will be no need to meet with the boars again.
That voice. Vernus, friend? You're the policeman. What a disappointment.
Only an undercover agent can scour a ditch full of deviants. I am a consulting detective.
Man.
Although I'm capable of replacing the entire department through my consultations.
Sharp-tongued, I like it. May I presume this tongue will get us out of this trouble? I would be so indebted and glad to repay you.
Nothing's changed. I'm looking for the murderer. That's the only way to get us out of trouble.
But it shouldn't take much time, correct? We're all busy, after all.
I need to examine you first.
This guy wants Sherlock to examine him with his tongue. All right, let's see. Where's makeup? Rash from exposure to hair dye. Ooh. I guess back in the day, hair dye probably was made with like horrific chemicals, huh? Washed hands in a hurry because he has soap under his fingernails. He's the murderer. He probably wanted Fabio's love, right? Because he likes young men. Oh dear. Hides his age. Stickler for cleanliness. No, it's hides his age.
You are a little over the top with your use of makeup, Mr. Manchios. Is it so difficult for you to acknowledge your age?
Well, Sherlock, that's easy for you to say to an old man when you look as though you are barely 15.
But still, it shouldn't be an issue for someone of your status.
For people of my age, it isn't an issue, no. But the younger ones can be so afraid of wrinkles and grey flecks. I have to adapt.
Such a methodical man who cares for his body but misses the soap under his fingernails. Are you so impatient, or perhaps even impulsive?
I wouldn't call myself that. Silly little details. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what I was focused on.
What was Fabio like? His personality, his habits? Anything you can tell me?
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy. I don't even want to mention his beauty. Otherwise, I'll be sobbing.
An expensive champion, I imagine.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his payment. Do you think he was murdered because of money?
Possibly. What about the other guests? Were they used to opening their wallets as well?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few coins from others for his services.
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but I would like to know more directly from you.
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested and locked here with you alone.
Why did you invite Mr. Vogel as your special guest?
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public. He has a talent for saying words that no one else would wish to either say or hear.
I suppose I can't argue with that.
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is fine by me, as long as it enhances my party.
I'd like to know who you usually invite to your parties.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste forbidden fruit without prejudice. There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many years for the good of one's country.
Oh, all true labourers, I see.
That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about.
I've read this letter from Fabio. It had no addressee, but it was found in Mr. Vogel's pocket.
Werner? Strange. I didn't think the two of them corresponded.
I'm sure there is some explanation. Would you care to read it?
Call me superstitious, but I don't care to read a letter from a dead man.
I think he's avoiding it. I think the letter was to him. You pay me, but you haven't bought me. Blah, blah, blah.
That's not something I know much about. I've no idea about that.
Do you recognize this book? Could Matista have borrowed it from your library?
She didn't ask me. How ungrateful.
The things described in the book were inspiration for the rituals you performed?
Do you really believe that blood, symbols, and incantations can resurrect the dead? They are just eerie tales with a mix of occultism and voodoo. My rituals are a stage to show some of the forbidden pleasures.
Mm-hmm. Is murder a forbidden pleasure?
That's not something I know much about.
You bought an expensive pair of cufflinks for Fabio. Were they his price? Or were they a tip for an exclusive show?
It was pure business. Fabio escorted me a few times. I was merely showing my gratitude.
This pair cost a small fortune. You must be extremely grateful then.
Oh, I'm sure he was very
Tell me
grateful.
more.
You've thrust a knife in an exposed nerve, Sherlock. Yes, he was my protege and my beacon also. With my experience and his beauty, we could have achieved anything. I had faith in him. I would have made him.
Alright, what else is there to show him?
You'd better ask someone else. You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about. That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about. That's not something I know much about.
What's the last piece of
You'd better
the puzzle?
ask someone else.
What's the last thing I need to show him?
I've no idea about that.
We'll
You'd
just
better
go through
ask someone else.
them all.
Do you have any
There we go.
idea who tipped off the police to raid your mansion, Mr. Manchios?
Of course. It was you. I could even say you Sherlocked me in here.
A good guess, but the wrong one. The fellow who did that was Mr. Pinchetti, your major domo.
What? Santos? But how could he even know? If he's not the murderer himself. The ungrateful swine. He has dared to besmirch my reputation.
Not a very eloquent choice of words.
What should I call him then, since he's a snitch? Make him talk, Sherlock. I'm quite certain he knows more about the murder than he has told the police.
Does he though? Kermanchios has a washing routine. He's scrupulously clean. Set himself up for debauchery. Kermanchios washed himself after the murder. That's what I think actually happened. Is there any evidence I'm missing? Any conversations I
know I can handle the
haven't
news.
had?
The air here is rather refreshing. I'd even recommend that some of my friends visit the place.
Please let me out.
Okay, there's nothing there. Who else have we taken in? Is there anyone else waiting to talk? Nope. Do we need to talk to Oswald? Because we still have some clues we need to, like, put together. See, the angry letter from Fabio Kurt Manchios had feelings for him. Like, these things should be connected. But for some reason, it doesn't let me, which makes me think I'm missing something, which is always super irritating. So let's go talk to people, I guess.
Don't look at them. They'll serve us if necessary.
Continue our investigation while I look for the papers.
Do we gotta talk to the evidence guy? Is there a piece of evidence I'm missing? Nope, we got all of them.
So much work, so little time.
What if they all work together? That's one guess.
I know you. Untangle this mess.
Am I missing pieces of the conversation? Let's look at the casebook. Police investigation, Santos is a suspect. They're all on the map. Okay, so it's... Oh, is there something just, like, sitting in his area that I need to, like, interact with or something? Ah, yes, his evidence box. Perfect.
I recognize the key from the altar room among these.
Kurt Manchios' will and note. A small note attached to the will says, Santos, my hopeful slug, you begged me to include you in my will, so I did. Here's my latest revision of the will. Kurt. The text of the will under note. Santos Pinchetti, the major domo of the Manchios mansion, receives a jar of mustache wax and a salt lamp, that he might always remember his caring employer, Kurt Manchios. What a dick. And then, police investigation. Need to obtain the documents related to my mother's death. Is this the only thing left? Santos is a suspect. Okay, here we go.
I can't help you.
Mr. Manchios says that you begged him to be included in the heritage. Isn't that a little extreme, even for a major domo?
He's not only my employer, he's my uncle.
Oh.
And I'm his next of kin. The only one. Mr. Manchios flatly refuses to pay a family member. All I have to do is repay his so-called love, cleaning up the filth after perverts and decadents. He's imprisoned me. The best I can hope for is a new broom. That's why I wanted to have my part of the inheritance.
Is it that bad? You have a roof above your head, a salary, and the
God,
status
Sherlock.
of a major domo.
For God's sake. I'm forced to dye and stitch my threadbare clothes, and the holes in my shoes are painful. I'm ashamed every time a guest looks at me closely.
Why do you think your uncle treats you this way?
My mother, my uncle's sister, had me illegitimately. She died, and I was given the surname of one of the maids.
But you are entitled to some of the money that belongs to your family.
He thinks not. I was not responsible for my mother's death. I work hard, and he pays me nothing. I feed on the leftovers. While he wastes our estate's property on decadent parties, he paid Fabio handsomely and showered him with expensive gifts for their disgusting relationship.
Oh, what a bigot. All right. The letter may have been from Manchios. According to Santos Pinchetti, and by the content of the letter, it may have been addressed to Kurt Manchios. else is there? Police investigation, Oswald. Alright, we have a few things left to discuss, so I guess we gotta go talk to Manchios again.
There is undeniable evidence that you were the original recipient of this letter.
What are you talking about? Is it addressed to me?
Your protege wanted a fresh start, it seems. This is sufficient to charge you.
Me? Hurt my star? Are you insane that you would accuse me of such a thing?
He did not consider himself as yours. Since you deny everything, let's move on. Do you have any idea as to how the letter could have ended up in Mr. Vogel's pocket?
You were the detective. Perhaps he took it from Fabio. Werner was a little high.
I've read the letter about your will. A harsh method of ridiculing Santos. I doubt he will use mustache wax when he wears no mustache to begin with.
Where did you get it? Is the slug here? Tell him I shouldn't have to provide for him. He's a grown man who shouldn't sit on his uncle's neck. He conceives himself as my only heir.
And who is he to you?
He's a leech on my aging body. He has only added problems to my life since the death of his mother.
I fail to see why you made him your major domo.
He needed to know his place, so I taught him.
Alright, Vogel's letter. Let's talk to Vogel.
I have reason to believe that the intended recipient of the incriminating letter may have been Kurt Manchios.
Well, that makes sense. Too bad I can't remember how I came to possess it. Though I did spend quite some time with Mr. Manchios during the party.
Unfortunately, even with an answer, that may still not be enough to clear you with the police. But fear not, I will persevere.
I hope your attempt to put things straight will make up for...
you being on a bender?
Touché.
Okay. Let's see. All right, let's see. Sanchez Pinchetti is the murderer. Pinchetti has worked for his uncle for years in the deep hope of obtaining his heritage. Mantios' hostility and humiliations pushed Pinchetti to kill Fabio and frame his uncle. Mantios' imprisonment would make Pinchetti the only lawful heir. Cold revenge, blah, blah, blah. The only way for Santos Pinchetti to right his wrongs is to be rid of his monstrous uncle. Pinchetti should be punished for the crime of murder, but he has suffered enough and deserves a fresh start after his prison sentence. Pinchetti is dangerous, and a noose around his neck is all he deserves. I agree. I think Pinchetti did it. I don't actually agree with the death penalty generally, but if we're role-playing Sherlock, then yeah, I definitely agree with it. I feel like Manchios did not plant the letter on Vogel, because it wouldn't have done anything meaningful. So yeah, I think it's Pinchetti, and I think we're gonna condemn him just because it was cold revenge. Pinchetti snapped, blah blah blah. Let's go talk to what's his name. Is there another person I can talk to about this?
I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party. I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party.
J'accuse.
I know who killed Fabio.
So I'm free to go, sir?
Quite the opposite. I think it was you, Mr. Pinchetti.
That is not possible.
Allow me to explain. The blood on your shoe tells me that you were with Fabio. You stabbed him with the dagger while he was still alive. You drew a sigil on him. There was a great deal of blood. You needed to remove it. Blood is almost like glue. It sticks to everything, dries quickly, and is quite visible. But you know how to handle stains. You are Kurt Manchios' major domo. However, despite your best efforts, you missed a spot.
It doesn't make sense, sir. I was never there. I am convinced there's a reasonable explanation.
You staged this decadent ritual so you would not be suspected. After a short fight, you knocked Fabio unconscious. You locked the door and dragged the body to the altar. You wanted to set up someone acquainted with this masquerade.
I don't have the nerve to kill or stage a murder. I can't even leave my uncle's house.
Pink says, I don't recall his name, but why was the bald man arrested? Since this is set in Victorian times, is this like what happened to Oscar Wilde? I don't think this is set in Victorian times. This is like late 1800s. But no. He was hosting a sex cult, and there was a murder in his house, and it was someone who he was deeply affiliated with, and so that's why he was arrested.
You wanted to be rid of your dear uncle. I myself barely know him and already find him intolerable. You've worked for him for years. Santos, do this. Santos, do that. He doesn't pay you. He doesn't recognize your work. He doesn't see you as family. But you thought that heritage might be yours. Instead, all you'll ever receive is mustache wax. It is painful to witness such a situation. I cannot imagine how it must be for you. So, you decided to frame your uncle. Put the blame for Fabio's murder on him. That way, the heritage is yours, and you are free of it.
Half of what you say is true. I'm in pain. I have had a hard time with my uncle, but I'm not a murderer. I can't even stand up to my uncle. How could I have killed Fabio? He did nothing to me.
He was a source of your troubles too, though. Especially since Mr. Manchios treated him like a...
I'm torn. I mean, I want to send him to the gallows, but I'm not sure. I feel like I should try to talk to people, but I don't know if I can actually back out right now.
Your hate for Mr. Manchios was so strong you killed an innocent person. Your uncle did that to you. I could have understood that you wanted to see him gone. No one could tolerate that much humiliation. But you killed Fabio. You staged the ritual, tried to frame your uncle. But you killed Fabio.
No, wait. I know it seems like I did it, but I didn't.
Oh, enough. Save your prayers for the after.
Can I accuse Kurt now?
I wish everything were different.
I can't. All right. I want to possibly see if there is a different little layout we can go through here. Because I want to see what Kurt has to say. This might be like way earlier. That would have been bad. Oh no. Let's see what the game has to say. Jeez, it is taking forever to load. Switch conclusion. Back. Manchios planted the letter. Pinchetti accidentally set up in blood. Washed himself after the murder. What clue am I missing? Letter from Fabio. All right, cool. It did autosave when I needed it to. Kettle says, Sherlock has a way of accusing people that just makes me think he's executing innocent people. Yeah, I mean, like, that's my problem, right? Is that it just truly feels like that is, in fact, the case. I think it might be Manchios.
I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party.
Are you done yet? Can I leave?
Thank you for your cooperation, Mr. Pinchetti. We'll continue later.
All right. What am I missing?
I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party. I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party. I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party.
Who do I have to talk to about this? Batista? Oh, okay.
Could Fabio have written this letter to Kurt Manchios?
Oh. That could be. I never thought Mr. Manchios could make Fabio that angry, though.
What do you mean?
Well, Fabio wanted to disassociate from Mr. Manchios. Clients who are in love are both a blessing and a curse.
But Fabio was here tonight.
Money. In our line of work, we can't afford to turn down clients who pay as well as Kurt Manchios.
Was Fabio afraid of Mr. Manchios?
Not at all. The old toad wouldn't dare to do more than sweet talk and touching. Talk can be forgotten, and touching washed away.
All right. For years, Fabio played with Kurt Manchios' heart and abused his interest in the young performer. When Manchios received yet another rejection, he murdered Fabio and staged a love ritual to avoid suspicion. Crime passion, Kurt Manchios was heartbroken and panicked and did not mean to kill Fabio. The improvised ritual was a desperate attempt to cover up the crime. A prison sentence should be enough, for his harsher punishment is the death of his love. I disagree, because he beat him over the head with a wine bottle. The thing that's confusing to me is how what's-his-name has blood on his shoe. Pink asks, does anyone know if this game is rated M? I want to know if I should be prepared since I can be squeamish. The game has, like, no gore or violence in it, like, visually. The game is way too low budget for that. Like, this on the wall right here, like, the implied blood on the wall in this interrogation room is the worst that the game shows of anything. There's, like, one dead body at one point, but it's, like, a guy in a suit. So, yeah, I wouldn't be worried about it. I think the game is rated M, but it's not a big deal.
The murder of Fabio did not have a ritual purpose, Mr. Manchios. It was staged by a man who wished to distract the investigation.
That might be true. That poor girl Matista wouldn't dare to kill the only man who cared for her. So, Santos.
Mr. Pinchetti snatched at the chance to solve his problems.
Ungrateful little scum. Will he be executed?
But what for? He informed the police as to the crime, that was all. He couldn't stage the ritual, but he found the body, I believe.
I can't believe it. Why did Werner do it?
Mr. Vogel. He had no reason, and he won't be a scapegoat as you plan. You put Fabio's letter in his pocket when he was intoxicated, didn't you?
You can't be serious.
Pink says they were worried about the gallows. You don't need to be worried. I mean, if it does show anything, it would actually probably be very protracted, so you could look away if you needed to.
We can very often deduce someone's life by their shoes or their fingernails. You are a meticulous person, but this murder was fairly traumatic and filthy. After you stabbed Fabio, you were covered in blood. You panicked and neglected to rinse the soap from under your fingernails. The devil is in the details, Mr. Manchios.
Nonsense. I missed it simply because of the busy schedule of the party.
Of course, a staged murder was certainly not planned. You staged the murder as a satanic ritual. It was easy for you since you were the one who wrote the scenarios for the parties. It was your way of avoiding suspicion. A respectable man in his 60s,
early 60s,
who hosts the cream of Cordona society, cannot possibly be a murderer. But the guests who behave like animals in his mansion, of course, one of them could have killed Fabio.
I did oversee a few of the rituals, but I did not stage Fabio's death.
You're at the twilight of your life. You have no partner, you have
Oh
no
my God,
children.
brutal.
You had feelings, however, for one man. That was Fabio. You loved him. That is, you wished to own him with money and gifts. But he was also a free mind, was he not? He turned his back on you. Quite unjust. Love, so cruel and painful, and Fabio, with his words and deeds, made you feel the more wretched. So you killed him.
You must surely perceive that my sensitive nature wouldn't allow me to hurt anyone.
Fabio's, Fabio will be ashamed of his words and deeds.
The young performer played with your emotions. That was painful to realize. You spent so much time and effort to be with Fabio, but he didn't respond in the way you would have liked. You wanted to be loved, but Fabio shattered your dreams. In the smoking lounge, he teased and mocked you. He wanted you to suffer by offering himself to others. The deception was unbearable. You struck him, and then you staged the ritual. You planted the letter in Vogel's pocket and attempted to set up Matista.
What poppycock? Sherlock, stop this game now.
There is no stop word, Mr. Manchios.
No,
Relax.
safe word, you
and
mean.
Enjoy it. I'll pass the remainder of this case to Constable Oswald. He'll know what to do with you.
So I think
I can't believe you dared to accuse me.
it's kind of incredible how like bad this game is at being ambiguous, because like the music that played during his accusation was completely different than the one that played in Pinchetti's. Narik says, "Look at this sensitive old man, this poor little meow meow." Yeah, exactly. This is ridiculous. Archive.
I have a name for you. Kurt Manchios.
Is that so? The master of the Sabbath?
The man himself. Mr. Manchios couldn't stand to lose control over his lover. A deadly revenge that deserves a proper sentence. I have all the evidence to charge him.
A degenerate and a murderer. I'll make a name thanks to that for sure. As for my part, not everything was in place. Perhaps some documents were transferred somewhere else, but I couldn't find a trace of them.
Oh my god.
Then I remembered. The discarded document drawers where we put the lost papers or the badly labelled ones. Including the crime scene report of Violet Holmes's case. Everything I've found is on the desk here. Take it.
Your persistence has saved me.
Yeah, well, we had a deal after all. Your friend is free then. You can leave.
Nice.
Good luck, Constable.
Alright. 120 bucks, that's not bad. Let's change into something more Sherlockian, huh? Let's do it. I hate Sherlock's clothes so much. This is much more Sherlock. What do you think? Mutton chops? On the table in the police archives. Here. Report number 743. Officers arrived to find the deceased, identified as Miss Violet Holmes, lying in the garden of Stonewood Manor. She was in the garden, huh? Visual inspection showed the victim to be thoroughly soaked with a deep vertical incision 2 inches in length down her throat. Her face was swollen and covered in red blotches. Likely cause of death, hypoxia. Awaiting confirmation from medical examiner. Main suspect Otto Richter was arrested on the scene. The body was sent for autopsy.
The garden. There's a garden behind our manor. How could I forget? That's where it all happened, where it all went wrong.
Sherry, it looks like you've all...
Oh, you did it, Sherlock. The case is closed and all rewards belong to the winner. Bravo.
It is merely the triumph of the truth.
Is it? No compromises? No lies? You're happy with your decisions?
It was the best decision I could obtain. The truth must be told in the way it is most acceptable.
You're making progress, Sherlock. I was right to believe in you. By the way, did you get that precious information about your mother? Oh, not that you must.
Yes, I did.
Forgive my intrusion in such a personal matter. I simply worry I'm failing to be of much help to you.
Actually, you were. For some reason, all the archives on the case had disappeared. This was a rare opportunity to obtain the impossible.
Outrageous. Perhaps someone found the truth unpleasant. Society usually rejects those who speak with too much honesty, doesn't it?
A comfortable lie is often preferred to an uncomfortable truth. Still, I believe that the latter should prevail, and I cannot remain silent.
That's quixotism at its best. Your mere truth cannot defeat institutions, systems, and power. Etiquette, religion, marriage, they're all lies told to preserve connections, love, and sanity, and it's all corruptible.
Lies destroy human dignity. How could you make a free decision without any knowledge of the truth?
Are we really free to decide anything in this world, Sherlock?
I get enough obnoxious pontification from my brother, so please, spare me your lecture.
Forgive my love for moral philosophy. I know I tend to ramble. You're a walking contradiction, Sherlock. You refuse to lie to others, but constantly lie to yourself. How long until the train comes off the track? I cannot look away, but perhaps I should take a few steps back. You're an accident waiting to happen, dear. Until then, I shall bid you adieu.
Pink says the button chops fit, but it gets me how young he looks. Yeah, well, so to be fair, this is literally a Sherlock prequel. Like this takes place when he's 20, so he is very young. Let's see. Apollo says the moment when solving gay Cthulhu sex cult murder reawakens your traumatic backstory. Yeah, exactly.
He's even been putting up posters. Poor man. Losing it may be the death of him.
All right. Central Scaladio, violin stolen, probably something else.
He's even been putting up...
Nope. Nope. Yes. Nope. Nope. Music teacher, Central Scaladio. Okay.
I'm guessing you didn't get what you were after. It happens. I always wanted a pet cat.
This is the worst minigame of all time. There we go. All right. A local music teacher has been putting up posters in Central Scaladio around St. Clement's Cathedral, appealing for information about his stolen violin. All right, let's look at what we have available to us. All right, John's casebook, blah, blah, blah. We have a ton of these documents to read, but I don't really care about a lot of this stuff. There's so much just text. All right, what cases do we have? My mother's love is the main quest. Eel hunting. Oh, this is the one about taking down bandits. Playing the law, should join the police, or at least pretend as much, and reveal to any of the suspects that I'm not actually an officer. Death in a safe. Oh, okay. Do we want to do this one? That could be fun. String theory. Local music teacher has been putting up posters. St. Clement's Cathedral. Interesting. We have all of these different pieces of treasure. This isn't so much a clue to a treasure hunt as it is a literal map to the treasure. All right. We made a bunch of money. Do we want to go buy some more stuff for the house? I think that could be fun. Lucrative in some sense. I think the green... Are those shops? No, these are shops. That's an art trader. We don't care about art too much. Furniture, though. Let's do our best to go buy some furniture, spruce up our house a little bit. Dear God, game almost crashing. This game is so poorly optimized.
Nice affordable.
Come, come. Merhaba. It's a good day for a purchase.
Pirate's pistol.
May your purchase bring you joy.
Let's pick something.
All right, now we can buy some more clothing, I guess. Might be time to buy some ladies' clothes for Sherlock. We don't have any other women's stuff. This finest finery does look like a Sherlock outfit, though.
Don't leave.
Right.
Take one more look.
What do you say, chat? Do you want me to continue with the main quest? Do you want me to just start doing some of these side quests? This one seems interesting. Iron Coffin. String theory, we could probably get some information on. Let's see. Sorry, something came up unplugged underneath my desk. Had to fix that. All right. I am going to very quickly just shuffle the stream on and off so I can get the VOD to export. If the stream cuts out for anyone who's watching right now, just refresh the stream. We'll be right back. All right. See you in like 2 seconds.